Everyone, my name is Ivana Peters, and today I will be delivering a presentation on a sensitivity analysis and how to incorporate a sensitivity analysis into a capital budgeting evaluation. This presentation is being conducted as an assignment for Fundamentals of Business Analysis at American Public University. What is a sensitivity analysis? A sensitivity analysis is a financial modeling tool that uses quantitative and qualitative data to explore how uncertain variables in a model's output can be attributed to different sources of uncertainty in its inputs. In other words, when dealing with complex models involving uncertain variables, sensitivity analysis helps provide an understanding of how variations in input parameters impact overall uncertainty in projected outputs. What are the key points of a sensitivity analysis? Both quantitative and qualitative impacts. A sensitivity analysis quantifies how both quantitative and qualitative inputs can affect outputs. In the quantitative process, key variables are altered and observed for how they affect the overall result. The results are documented so to understand the impact of changes. In the qualitative process, key variables must be identified in terms of how they can impact your project or decision. Thus, these variables must be understood to acknowledge how they relate to the outcomes, and thus they must be assessed to determine the level of uncertainty associated with each variable. Hence, the quantitative and qualitative steps involved in a sensitivity analysis help to explore how different key quantitative and qualitative factors influence financial decisions or project endeavors, consequently helping to determine risk and influencing actions taken. In this slide is an example of identifying key variables in a sensitivity analysis. We will look at a basic background. A coffee shop currently selling an espresso cup of coffee for $2.50. The company is considering two pricing scenarios. Scenario A, increase the price by 10%. Scenario B, decrease the price by 5%. The key variables are price change, the percentage change in the price of an espresso cup of coffee, and daily sales volume, the number of cups of espresso coffee sold per day. The scenarios described identify the primary variables that must be analyzed using a sensitivity analysis in deciding whether the company should increase or decrease the price it charges for a cup of coffee. Now looking at an example of quantitative steps taken in a sensitivity analysis, we look again at the base case, the current price being $2.50 per cup of espresso coffee, the daily sales volume being 200 cups per day. Thus, the total daily revenue is $500 per day. In scenario A, with a 10% price increase, the new price becomes $2.75 per cup of espresso coffee. And then the daily sales volume, making the assumption that it remains constant at 200 cups per day, increases the total daily revenue to $550 per day for the sale of espresso coffee. In scenario B, with a 5% price decrease, the new price of an espresso cup of coffee becomes $2.37 per cup approximately. Again, making the assumption that the daily sales volume remains constant at 200 cups per day, the total daily revenue for that type of coffee will decrease to $475 per day. Two scenarios presented stipulate varying quantitative adjustments. Once the quantitative adjustments have been made, a sensitivity analysis must look at the qualitative considerations. Thus, in the analysis already presented, in scenario A, we saw that there was a revenue increase of $50 per day compared to the base case. The sensitivity to price increase, therefore, resulted in a positive impact on revenue. However, looking at the qualitative consideration, it must be asked, will customers accept the higher price without reducing demand significantly? Therefore, in scenario B, the revenue decreased by $25 per day compared to the base case. Sensitivity to price decrease is a negative impact on revenue. Hence, the qualitative consideration in scenario B is, will the lower price attract more customers to offset the reduced price per cup of coffee? The two scenarios presented examine the key quantitative adjustments in conjunction with potential qualitative considerations to help determine impact on output. And when deciding which scenario is most likely, there are different options that a business can look at, such as in this case, perhaps putting the espresso cup of coffee on special for a week at $2.37 per cup to see if it does increase sales volume, and therefore deciding whether the price should be lowered because it increases sales volume, or if the sales volume remains the same, then try raising the price. Now that we've seen an example of a sensitivity analysis used in a smaller financial decision, we can look at how a sensitivity analysis can be used in capital budgeting. What is, however, a capital budgeting analysis? A capital budgeting analysis is a process businesses use to evaluate major projects or investments. It helps determine whether these projects or investments should be approved or rejected. In other words, a capital budgeting analysis is a comprehensive assessment that is used to determine the likely risk involved in pursuing a major project or investment. What are the key points in a capital budgeting analysis? When conducting a capital budgeting analysis, companies must assess expected returns and compare them to target benchmarks. Methods used in a capital budgeting analysis include discounted cash flow, payback analysis, and sensitivity analysis, which is used to predict future cash flows based upon input of varied data. The use of such combined methods in a capital budgeting analysis helps to comprehensively determine risk and thus serves to allow for informed investment decision making. Looking again at a sensitivity analysis in capital budgeting, a sensitivity analysis helps to effectively allocate resources and enhance shareholder value when it is used in conjunction with other capital budgeting tools to assess risk of potential major investments or projects. An example of sensitivity analysis key variants in capital budgeting analysis include annual cash flow, which is a critical variable that, when significantly altered, can impact overall profitability, and the discount rate, which is a variable rate used to discount future cash flows, with higher discount rate reducing present value of future cash flows. Hence, as implied in the slide, the goal of a capital budgeting analysis is to allocate resources effectively and enhance shareholder value. In turn, a sensitivity analysis is used to examine input variants that can have major impacts on targeted outputs. In conclusion, a sensitivity analysis is a modeling tool used to create what-if scenarios to help businesses assess risk and make better informed financial decisions, including minor decisions such as small price adjustments and/or major decisions such as those associated with a comprehensive capital budgeting analysis. Hence, a sensitivity analysis can be used to help determine the outcome of small financial decisions, such as whether to raise or lower the price of a cup of coffee, and two, can be used as a device in a comprehensive capital budgeting analysis to help determine potential risk associated with major investments and or projects. In this final slide, it just shows the references that I used for information on this presentation, and I would just like to thank you for listening to this presentation today. I hope you enjoyed it, and best wishes to all. Thank you.